October regular meeting. I'd like to thank the audience for coming. Please sign in the attendance sheet and please turn off your cell phones. Could you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The next regular meeting will be on November 12th at 7 p.m. November audit of claims meeting will be held on the first Monday, November 4th at 5:30 p.m. Executive session may occur this evening if deemed necessary. Correspondence tonight. The board received a thank you for their continued support from HASCA. The board received a thank you of continued support from the Northern Forest Canoe Trail for the Adirondack Canoe Classic. The Town of Webb Highway Department received a thank you from a resident of Stillwater expressing their sincere appreciation for the exceptional work performed by the Highway Department on the Stillwater Road this summer. Budget hearing. Do I have a motion that the Town of Webb Town Board will hold a public hearing in order to adopt the 2025 preliminary budget to be held on November 4th, 2024 at 6 p.m. at the Town of Webb Town Offices, 3140 State Route 28, Old Forge, New York. A copy of the preliminary 2025 budget will be on file at the office of the town clerk, Town of Webb, after October 25th, 2024. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Mike, second.
I'll second it.
Tom? Any board discussion on this?
When did that time be at 5:30?
Well, 5:30 would be a regular meeting. 5:30 is the meeting, and then you can pay bills and
No, then the public.
What time's it gonna be? 6 p.m. sounds like.
the meeting starts at 5:30, the hearing for the
Budget hearing,
budget is
correct.
6 o'clock.
Any other board discussion?
No?
Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Lindsay?
Aye.
Councilman Hannah?
Aye.
Councilman Greco?
Aye.
Councilman Ross?
Aye.
Supervisor Baker?
Aye. Data collector appointment. A motion that the board appoint Dana Pashley, Town of Webb data collector, effective 10/7/2024. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Ben, second.
I'll second.
Kyle. Board discussion?
No, welcome Dana to a new position for the town.
And a big thank you to all those years DPW and across wherever you went.
Very much so. Yeah.
And for doing all these YouTube videos too.
I'm still doing it.
They're still doing ours up there.
Thank you. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilman Lindsay?
Aye.
Councilman Hannah?
Aye.
Councilman Ross? Sorry,
Aye.
Councilman Greco?
Aye.
That was a test.
I'm
Supervisor
forgetful,
Baker?
don't worry.
Aye. Snowmobile trail maintenance surplus. A motion to declare a 2015 Bobcat 3650 UTV with bucket and plow S/N AVW 4204 97 2147 hours and 16,420 miles on the machine. The Blue Book value is $5,000. This Town of Webb School will be purchasing the machine. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
One second.
Second.
Board discussion?
Nope.
It's nice that the school can use it.
Yep. Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Lindsay?
Aye.
Councilman Hannah?
Aye.
Councilman Greco?
Aye.
Councilman Ross?
Aye.
Supervisor Baker?
Aye.
5 ayes.
Okay, uphill traffic policy for Macaulay Mountain. Whereas the town board of the Town of Webb, as owner and operator of the Macaulay Mountain Ski and Recreation Area, is charged with establishing policies and practices to ensure the safety of all employees and guests who are present at the facility, and whereas the concept of earning your turns, whereby skiers and snowboarders skin up the mountain prior to skiing or snowboarding down the mountain, it's becoming very popular within the alpine sport community. And whereas the town board finds that allowing such use can be safe and add to the enjoyment of guests at Macaulay Mountain, so long as policies and practices are in place to avoid collisions between skiers, snowboarders, fixed obstacles, and employees traveling on the mountain. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Webb hereby adopts the following uphill traffic policy for Macaulay Mountain, said policy to be in effect until further resolution of this board amending or rescinding the same, and that the town of Webb employees and agents are hereby authorized to enforce the policy consistent with other terms of use and safety policies and procedures in place at Macaulay Mountain. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Kyle, second.
I'll second it.
Ben. Board discussion.
No, I know Chris was at the forefront of this after attending the Macaulay, or the New York Ski Expo that we all went to. So I'm happy to see something put in place. It's becoming a thing with all other ski mountains. They have something similar in place. So it's nice to see us get on board with that.
Sounds great. Anyone else? I always thought you took the
I'm
chair
not
lift
sure what it
up.
means, but it sounds.
I always thought you took the chair lift up and skied down, but apparently they're climbing up and they're skiing
Climbing
down
up, skiing down.
for more exercise. Interesting, right?
Sounds awesome.
Do we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilman Lindsay?
Aye.
Councilman Hannah?
Aye.
Councilman Greco?
Aye.
Councilman Ross?
Aye.
Supervisor Baker?
Aye.
5 ayes.
JCAP, the Justice Court Assistance Program Grant, a motion. Be it resolved that the Town of Webb Board offers a resolution of support and authorizes the submittal of a grant application by the Town of Webb Courts to apply for a JCAP grant for 24-25 grant cycle for up to $30,000. The grant application has been prepared by Justice Vanetz and will be administered by the Town of Webb Court. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Ben, second.
I'll second.
Mike, board discussion?
Tell us what he's trying to get the money for.
It is
I
a
don't
window.
remember.
It's so they can have a, before you go into the court system, there's a door and a window where you can pay your
Oh,
bill
that's
and
right,
not have
that's
to
right,
go
yep,
through.
I remember, yes. You guys remember that?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, I didn't.
Any more board discussion on that?
Just a big safety
Mhm.
upgrade, really,
Right.
make it easier to.
Roll call
whatever
vote,
you got
please.
in trouble for.
Councilman Lindsay?
Aye.
Councilman Hannah?
Aye.
Councilman Greco?
Aye.
Councilman Ross?
All right,
Supervisor Baker?
Aye.
5 ayes.
Nichols Memorial Church, a motion that the town enter into an agreement with Nichols Memorial Church for the use of the fellowship hall and kitchen for 1 day a week on Thursdays from 10 to 3, beginning September 2024. There'll be a rental fee of $1,200 for the year, and the town will provide liability insurance. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Board discussion?
Yeah, it's sad to see the SHARP program leaving one area and going to another, but I'm thankful that Nichols has welcomed us back with open arms, so I'm excited to see them. Well, they're already over there, but hopefully we can keep this relationship going for a little while.
mhm.
Thank you. Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Lindsay?
Aye.
Councilman Hannah?
Aye.
Councilman Greco?
Aye.
Councilman Ross?
Aye.
Supervisor Baker?
Aye.
5 ayes.
Town of Inlet Snowmobile Agreement, motion, the town board authorizes the supervisor to sign the snowmobile agreement with the town of Inlet for the 2024-25 snowmobile season. The agreement will be reviewed each year before renewal. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Ben, second.
I'll second.
Kyle, for discussion.
No. Sorry, it's been a long time coming, but it's the way it is.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Lindsay,
Aye.
Councilman Hannah,
Aye.
Councilman Greco,
Aye.
Councilman Ross,
Aye.
Supervisor Baker,
Aye.
5 ayes.
Macaulay Mountain Ski Area Manager. A motion that the board appoint Kevin Kress, temporary Macaulay Mountain Ski Area Manager, until the retirement of Stephen Eustavinus, effective 10/7/2024. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Kyle, second.
I'll second it.
Ben, board discussion.
Well, welcome aboard.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Congrats, Kevin.
We're
How's that,
excited.
how does that work with the temporary and all that jazz?
He's temporary until Steve is effectively retired.
Okay.
Now, is it permanent?
Pardon me?
It will be permanent at Kevin after Steve retires next.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
Guess that date hasn't been set yet, right?
Correct.
Correct.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Lindsay,
Aye.
Councilman Hannah,
Aye.
Councilman Greco,
Aye.
Councilman Ross,
Aye.
Supervisor Baker,
Aye.
5 ayes.
Thank you, Kevin. All right, so we are on to the board. I think we'll start with Nancy this evening.
Ready?
Yep. Sorry to throw you off.
That's all right. We had a letter from CAA. Dear Town Supervisor Baker and Council, the Central Adirondack Association would like to thank for support for all our 2024 events so far. We've begun working on and promoting our fall and winter events such as Howard Forge, October 19th, Oktoberfest, October 26th, ADK Christmas on Main Street, November 29th to December 1st, and Snowdeo, December 13th and 14th. The Snowdeo Committee has decided to change it from a 3-day event to a 2-day event, with Friday, December 13th, a kickoff celebration to winter. There will be raffles, giveaways, and live music from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. The CAA is requesting permission to have a firework display at the George T. Hildebrandt Recreation Center at 8:45 on Friday, December 13th. Certificate of insurance and permits will be in place upon approval. The CAA thanks you for cooperation in this matter, and if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me, Roy Burkowskis. All set with fireworks?
I'm not.
I'm okay with it.
I'm at a July 4th only firework point in my life. So,
Ben,
I'm okay with it.
Kyle?
I'm okay with it.
Okay, we're okay with it then.
stick together.
Sounds good, thank you.
Winter transfer station, the transfer station will be open on winter hours starting Tuesday, October 15th. It'll be open Wednesdays, 8 to noon and 1 to 4, and then Sundays, 8 to noon, starting on Tuesday. It'll be open Monday for Columbus Day, closed on Tuesday, and then we start Wednesday, start our transfer off-season hours. And then next week we have a holiday garbage schedule. Columbus Day is on Monday, so it's been posted. That's all I got.
Thank you. You ready, you're after me. I just have a couple things. On Friday, there was a wastewater treatment plant meeting update. Things are still moving forward in a timely fashion with that. Our reimbursements from the state have been coming in within a reasonable time as well. Macaulay Mountain had their second fly day with the helicopters setting the towers. Thank you to everybody who helped with that. Things moved along smoothly, and I am told that we will be on time for a grand opening this year. Police negotiation update. The PBA has filed a declaration of impasse. PERB, Public Employment Relations Board, will appoint a mediator for the next process in this process. I sent a letter to the Commissioner of the DOT and the Director of Freight and Passenger Rail, asking them to restore the north crossing and Bullet Road crossing in Beaver River. They, when they put the tracks in, they did the south crossing, but they did not restore the north crossing, and it's a safety issue in the Beaver River area. So I sent a letter to everyone, and the senators as well, I copied them on that, hoping we could get that going on that. The last thing is, if anybody needs any COVID tests, they're available in the office over here. So, they're free, and if anybody needs one, let us know. Mike?
Okay, guess I'll start out with this, the last snowmobile committee meeting, we sat up at Dakers, and we had a pretty good meeting. And one of the things was suggested, that we get Alexis and Lisa from our information center along with Adele and our committee and let them talk about this, selling of the permits and how this is gonna go a little smoother. This year, it's pretty much, it's not gonna change, but if Adele has ideas up in Inlet and these guys all get together, which I know nothing about, just to let you know, but once they get together and maybe try to smooth out the issues that have been going on. So we're gonna put together a meeting, I can't tell you when the date is, but it's coming up. And just looking in the crowd, I think I have some information on a few things that I think I'm just gonna let it get asked, and then I probably can answer some questions, or at least my side of the questions that come out. So I'm just gonna let that ride for right now, Bonnie.
Okay. Tom?
Yeah, the snowmobile contract, sounds like we're gonna move forward with that, and we'll have it, be as it's been, and for another year until we renew it. Thanks for getting that done, thanks for working on it. Hopefully, Inlet, I think you guys meet probably tomorrow, right? And go from there. Had the budget meetings, you know, the last, 2 days last week, a lot of time here in our department heads. I mean, we got some really, really great people working for us. Kevin, welcome to that. But I mean, all across the town, when you actually meet with them and you see them working around the town, it's just, I think we're very lucky with what we have, and I think we've got to, maybe work harder toward getting more people and making sure the people that we do have are happy. And then I will say the PBA thing is, it's just been tough to deal with, as it's kind of been out of our hands up here, specifically. But the housing thing is something I've been on for a little bit here, so I'm excited to talk about that. It's kind of why I've been a little giddy coming in here tonight. But we've got the zoning review. There was the planning board over there who was talking about some stuff with some signage. I guess there might be a specific mural or something that might have brought some attention to some people to update their signage up. So they're putting in some stuff into the zoning update, which is in the hands of the lawyer right now, which also has some other stuff there that pertains to short-term rentals and some other things that some people have been working on around here that I was lucky enough to be a part of. So that zoning update could really come through and help out some of the the housing problems that we're battling. The other part of that was that pro-housing thing. I got a great phone call Monday from Nicole Ross in the codes office over there with Andy, that they're working on the stuff that the state needs for us to check that pro-housing box. And I put her in touch with Karis Rasmussen from the New York State Homes and Community Renewal. It's a quick email, and she's offering all the help she can for us to try and start getting that information over to the state, so we can just be putting that, again, just that section of grants that we qualify for, and just hopefully we can keep cracking away at that stuff. And then I got, I think it should be noted, the short-term rental to long-term catalyst program. I think it's Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah. That email that we got the other day, I wasn't too aware of it, but there's some things going on here for us to kind of encourage short-term rentals and help them through it, show them the budget reasons, and then even have some monetary benefits for people, landlords, property owners going to long-term rental versus short-term rental, which I think also will help. I think we should discuss something in our short-term rental law about people that have permits and maybe being refunded for if they change over to long-term rentals, but I don't know if you wanna add any of that, or if I missed anything there with your Catalyst program. But-
You covered it all in a couple sentences. Basically, it's a Living ADK and two other nonprofits, ADK Action and Adirondack Roots, developed this program over the last year. It's an incentive program and a toolkit to help short-term landlords compare what they might make on a long-term rental basis. And there's maybe a small stipend involved of $200 to $400 a month for a year. It's just it's not gonna sway anybody, but it's just to encourage people and give them some more things to think about, and a few bucks to cover costs that they might come across in the conversion. And we've been working on it for a long time. We're all set. All the documents are with the designer, and they should be ready to go out in a week or so.
Thank you for doing that.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you.
But yeah, that's pretty much all I have. Just
Thank you. Ben?
Perfect. Well, thank you all for coming tonight. I'd like to start by thanking everyone up here. And our department heads. Last week we had our first rounds of budget meetings. And it was a good learning experience for my first year on the board, and realized how much it takes to keep our town and community running. Thank you, Jason Blanis and his crew, Kurt Bryan, and Collie Mountain crew, Kevin's here, and all the town staff that helped out with getting the concrete poured, the towers up, and the new ski lift. It was amazing to watch, and love seeing all the familiar faces working up there from Kurt's photos and videos. Mike and I had a good meeting with John Cole a couple weeks ago on the upcoming snowmobile season. Talked about social media and safety, and thank you to the ones that attended. Linda was there. Because we did discuss more than just snowmobiling, it was good to listen to different viewpoints. I'd like everyone to know that on all of us up here, I believe we support the police department as we go through the PBA negotiations. Working on an agreement and trying to come up with something that doesn't put a future financial burden on our town and our taxpayers. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you. Kyle?
Yeah, so thank you for coming tonight. Like Ben said, budget hearings have been ongoing, and it is quite the learning experience, quite the headache as well if you're not familiar with it. It's great to hear everyone come in and talk to us about their budgets and what their vision is for the next year. So that's been a huge learning curve, to say the least. I know Chuck Betts is getting ready, gearing up for the snowmobile season, getting things ready to go, getting signage in place here shortly, putting up snow guards where he usually does down at the lakefront. I'm sure that won't happen until like November or so. Or usually he puts that down there.
It's a nice day.
Yeah. I met with the school this morning for our liaison meeting. They're gearing up for the Columbus Day weekend soccer tournament. They seem to have everything in line for that, as far as they have their parade permits, their fire permits for the bonfire at night. They're limiting the upper lot to buses and handicap parking only. And there will be school chaperones directing people where to park. The blinking lights that were installed were supposed to be up and running by the end of September, but the contractor postponed the finish on that. They don't really understand why. They think it's just because it's all that has to be put in with a few guts and the meter, so they're kind of pushed that off, and they're hoping by the end of this month that that'll get done. They received their new LED sign, so they're getting ready to dig and set the piers for that and install it here shortly. And they're also starting a light demo on the house, the old Sharp house. I know the exterior wires have been disconnected. A few other things have been taken out. Scott and his crew with the DPW have basically gutted everything that we had in there and taken it out and removed it. so they're waiting on bids for that to come in before they do anything else. The gym at the school will be shut down for 3 Saturdays. I believe it starts this coming Saturday or the next Saturday, to finish padding and lighting upgrade, changing it to LEDs. That's it that I have for the school. The last thing I wanted to talk, well, before I get to that, I do want to mention about Casey's letter. That was great to see. I know with everything going on, there might be some anger everywhere, which, you know, everyone is allowed to have. I get it. But it's nice to see a department that usually gets shunned a lot for what they do get a letter of thanks for the maintenance of their roads. That was neat to see. I got a copy, I got to read it, and it was nice to see that. The last thing, Macaulay Mountain, everything that's been going on up there, I want to thank all the guys, all our employees, all of Jason Glennis's employees, all the town guys, when it was the helicopter days coming up to help. I got to actually watch a little bit of the tower set from North Street. I went up there real quick and watched it from the upper lot and got to see it. That was pretty cool. And another thing with Macaulay Mountain, myself, Kevin, Chris, and Jim went to the ski expo at Greek Peak a few weeks ago. And I have to say, that was an experience. A lot of people have a lot of things to say about skiers, but that community, when we were there just talking to different vendors, different mountains, Orta, everyone is willing to jump in and give a hand of help wherever they can. They offer so much. I learned a lot, even speaking with Kevin there, the 2 days that we were there, he opened my eyes to a lot of things, and the ideas that he has and the vision for that mountain going forward, I'm really excited to see, and you know, I hope that we can, you know, make it happen. Congratulations. I wish you nothing but the best. You know, I see a lot of potential in you. I know you have the potential to do it. So thank you. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Kyle, can I ask what, they're just gonna let buses park in the upper parking lot over there?
The school buses for the visiting teams, and then it's gonna be handicapped parking as well. So that way it's not all clogged down by the road.
All right, now we're on to our members of assembly. Please state your name if you'd like to speak. Yes.
John Khalil, 80K Snowmobile Advocates. I just want to take a moment and thank both Ben and Mike for taking time out of their schedules last month to meet with me. Greatly appreciated. And I think it's important for the public to know that we're in a good place. I feel confident that we've brought a number of issues to the table. Ben and Mike have been extremely receptive in our discussions. I want to assure everyone, and for the sake of this meeting and for this recording, for anybody that watches us at a later date, everything was put on the table. We talked about it, so I think it's only fair that people give this board a fair chance going into the season, upcoming season, respect the things that they're doing. There's a lot of work that's been going on behind the scenes on many fronts to get this right for the upcoming season. So I just, I want to impress upon everybody. I can't thank this board as well enough. Everybody has done their part to get this right this time. So I'm going to ask everybody give these folks a chance. Going forward, I think it's important for snowmobilers to understand that we have a responsibility. And when I say responsibility, it's a privilege to ride in the towns of Webb, town of Inlet, and part of that responsibility means we have to do better in our sport to try to raise the bar higher and work cooperatively. Whatever happened in the past happened in the past. Hopefully we can start to leave that behind. I'm also going to ask the snowmobile community, residents, business owners, if there are concerns and things that you can work through the advocacy group with to filter, that I can work with Mike and Ben on, we can get a lot accomplished. What I don't want to see happen going into the upcoming season is that the board's time is getting wasted focusing on snowmobile issues or putting fires out that can be resolved easily, things that we could do cooperatively going forward. So again, thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes.
Well, I'm surprised as anybody to be here, but I was asked by the Board of Fire Commissioners, town of Webb, to come to the town board meeting. As a representative from the Board of Fire Commissioners, we feel that we should have representation attending the board meetings. If there are any questions for the Board of Fire Commissioners, we are all elected officials, just as the town board members are. We have our budget that we have to put together every year, and our meetings and budget hearings are open to the public if anyone would like to attend them, and we would encourage you to if you're interested. We have a let's see, we have a commissioners meeting on the 10th at 7 p.m. at the fire hall in Old Forge, and then at 5:30 on the 15th we have our budget meeting and hearing. So if anyone is interested in the fire district budget, they can come and ask questions, how the money's being spent, why the money is what it is. Okay. And hopefully we will have representation here at every town board meeting from here on to answer any questions that might be brought by the board, town Webb board, to the Board of Fire Commissioners. We want to keep the open channel of communication. And I will say that some of the things that the fire district is going to be challenged with in the next year is very challenging, to say the least. There are right now some legislative procedures being done where there's going to be very serious requirements to the fire service. And we're looking at it right now as how are we going to be able to afford to do this? And there's a number of departments, their districts are saying, we're not gonna be able to do it, we're gonna have to put a for sale sign up, sell the equipment, and go out of business if this goes through. And the unions are pushing it, and if you think the unions are looking out for us up here, you're sadly mistaken. They are not. They look out for their membership. These regulations are good for the paid fire departments, but do not work for the volunteers. And when you gotta go back to the taxpayers and tell them they gotta fund this money, and where are we going to get the people that are gonna be committed enough to do this type of training? And they're even going as far as, if you have any kind of health issue, you won't be able to be an active firefighter. So if you're a diabetic, you're done. You can't be a fireman. So, you know, this is what's going on, and it's being fought, but there's a good possibility it could go through. And these are some of the things that are happening in the fire district. So if you'd like to come and attend one of our meetings, it's open to the public. We'll answer any questions you have. We'll show you the budget, show you why we allocate certain monies for certain things. And I will say that not only do we use the taxpayers' money, but each of our departments, Eagle Bay, Big Moose, and Old Forge, are very good at earning money for themselves. And we just completed fire school here in Old Forge, very successful. Big Bucks raffle, very successful. And we just purchased a new to us used rescue truck, massive 10-wheeler, big truck, carries a lot of equipment that the department itself bought and is not a burden on the taxpayers. So, you know, we all work together, and we're trying to give the best service we can for the area. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Jane,
you. Thank you.
very much. Anyone else? Oh, wait a minute. About 10 hands went up. Why don't we start with you, Mr. Rivet?
Thank you, thank you. Thank you for your efforts. As I know, I worked on 20 budgets as a councilman for 20 years, but thank you for your efforts. I know how hard it is for the department heads and the board to come up with a budget that everybody agrees. One question I have to ask on the budget: how much of the, understand 6-point-something million unexpended is going to be used to offset taxes? The unexpended, for people that don't know what it is, it's monies that were collected through taxes but weren't spent for whatever reason. I understand you have to have a cushion, always do, but I think you could, not familiar with the budget this year, but I think you should consider, as we always did during my time, Supervisor Hildebrandt and Supervisor Moore, to use some of that unexpended to reduce taxes, and I would hope that's in your budget.
Yes, we did that last year and we're doing it again this year.
Thank you.
Yeah, Thank
I
you.
got another thing,
Yep.
I'm not very outspoken this year, although. Kyle talked about meeting with the school. I came here last month because the safety issue with parking in front of the school by staff members. I've been involved in EMS for over 60 years. I've been over 30 years, I trained hundreds of EMTs as a state certified instructor coordinator. One of the biggest fears that we have are what we call kid calls. Injured children, sick children. Everybody can relate to it, parents, grandparents, whatever can relate to this. That's one hell of a hazard. Now they're parking on the other side of the street. I spoke to someone at the school that, in a position of authority, and says that they can't do anything because the teachers feel that they're entitled to park there. Like I said, at one point, these are people who are supposed to care about the safety and welfare of our children. And at one point, when I was a board member, we had a similar situation. With parking in front of school by staff. And we worked to resolve it. We considered 2-hour maximum parking. That pretty much would cure it, but people that wanted to go, parents or whoever wanted to go to school, would have a place to park on the street. I went by on an ambulance call today, down the back street. The parking lot was probably a third full, and it's just across the street from the school. And I think that, you know, I implore you to do something. I mean, as a paramedic for many years, and as coroner for 30 years, that's my biggest fear, are injured or dead children. And I mean, most of us are parents here, and I think probably most everybody here would agree with me, hopefully.
Might be worth bringing up at a school board meeting too, you know, so. just-
Yeah, but, you know, you have
I apologize to you, I did have that to bring up to them, I failed to bring that up to
Oh, you're gonna bring that up
I
later,
didn't have
okay, I'm
my
sorry.
actual notes with me. I'll reach out to Jennifer Dunn and Holly Armandola tomorrow to see if we can get another meeting together to talk about that.
Thank you.
That's my.
I also understand that Casey Crowfoot's working on this as well.
Thanks, Bonnie.
You're welcome.
Because with winter coming on, cars are gonna be snowbanks. Personally, I've had 3 instances where children have come out from between the cars. They don't use the crosswalk, they go to the crosswalk, they park within 10 to 15 feet of the crosswalk, of the crossing. So, you know, you've gotta have a good sight line to see this. And I don't know why they're unwilling to work with it. I think that these, like I said, these are teachers. They're supposed to care about our kids, educating, safety, and so on. And
So Dan, you're obviously talking about just while school is in session, to eliminate parking in that area while school is in session, or
yeah,
school.
why about the 2 hours parking when the school is in session? I think you have to go
Should
to the
also
state
be
DOT.
year
to do
round, because even in the summer, trying to pull out in traffic.
I hear you,
and
but
you
year-round's
use the
gonna be
traffic.
hard on the state highway, but that's,
But, I mean, for safety, at least block off 2 spots so you can at least see vehicles coming. So you just, you know, no parking for
Yeah,
the first 20 feet.
We can't like put signs and stuff on there because it's a state highway, we told us
yeah, I
before,
think that gets a little,
right? It's like,
Yeah, we can't put signs up.
From my experience, because it's on the state highway, you have to go to the state DOT,
Right.
request the signs.
yeah.
Right.
And that's what Casey's working on right now.
Yeah, well, great, thank you.
You bet, thank you.
Hopefully it happens before next board meeting. I know it's not, you guys can't do it, but you can certainly put some pressure on somebody to do it.
Who'd like to speak next? Yes.
Just wondering, I know this is probably a little early, but where we're at with the boat docking? Or shouldn't I ask that question? I'd love to see that
That'd be
resolved
the end of it.
before the summer
I'm
hits.
still working on, we're gonna do, I'm shooting for December, January, bringing that back up.
I'd like to comment on that. Previously, we put a 14-day limit on the boat parking on the waterfront. And the biggest reason we did it was because people living on the lakes, taxpayers, wanted to come to town, be able to shop, be able to go to restaurants and such. They didn't find any place to park. So the reason we did the 14 days was people would come up and rent for a week. They'd bring their boat, they'd want a place to tie it up. So that was fine, you know? And I don't know, it worked for a long time. I've been off the board since '08, so anyway, it worked for a long time, and then people that own places here took up all the spaces. And hopefully there's some way that you guys can satisfy everybody. The people want to park their boats there all summer, you know, they're unhappy about not being able to do that. The people come up here, I had Clark's Beach Motel, I had a guy come up from Jersey every year. He'd come up and spend, half a dozen weekends. And he'd bring his boat. He'd park it down in front of the motel, and it's never a problem. But now,
A lot more people.
no
now,
parking.
yeah.
So I think there's a happy medium in
Kyle's
there.
been working really hard on
Yeah.
that. He hasn't come
Yeah.
to
I don't
the
think it was far
end
off.
result yet.
No, it was
More
pretty good.
time,
So consider, instead of abandoning or banning parking, boat parking there all the time, figure on doing it that way. Or when I went to the public hearing about when they passed this, the previous board did this, there was a lady, Zoom or whatever, she had a great suggestion. Ban overnight parking like on Wednesday nights. Or on, 2 nights a week. That way it's easier to enforce, you know who's parked there, tickets can be issued, and that's just one possible solution without banning it completely.
Thank
Probably
you.
said enough tonight.
Well,
Well, you probably are
you
done.
got a granddaughter behind you jumping at the bit there, so I think we'll take
She
her
doesn't
next.
take after her granddaughter.
Amanda.
Amanda DeShaw. I'm sure everybody on the board now has seen a video I've posted about my concerns about a fire hydrant in Thundera and the extremely long time, I feel, of 2 years that it has, again, it's still not fixed, so at 2 years. And I was just wondering, now that everyone is aware, has there been a conversation as to moving the timeline up instead of spring to fix it?
So I researched that a little bit, just so you know, there was a
Okay.
little bit of information behind that I didn't know about.
Okay,
The hydrant was purchased, the one that was broken in front of your house. A new one was purchased,
okay,
but an emergency happened in the Van Auken's area that took that fire hydrant down there.
okay.
Then this summer, there was an emergency at the well house, which is up here, which is the source of water to everybody. So that took over an issue. And I'm not saying that,
Okay, can I ask,
There's
when was
any-
that actually ordered?
what,
When was the original one ordered?
I don't have a date on that.
Okay, because I mean, I would just be curious to see.
But I know that there was one sitting to get placed where yours is, but it ended up going to Van Auken's, is what he told me.
Okay. I guess,
And the well house thing you're referring to is what, that big issue with the valve, with
Right.
the budget, that had nothing to do with the fire hydrant. That was,
Correct.
took
but-
up a
I
huge
yeah, I
chunk of
remember
the
that they
budget.
were working on
Yeah.
it, that was a big thing, yeah.
So I have that on my list
Okay,
as a number 1 priority to get that
I would
fixed.
appreciate it, thank you.
No problem.
There was a little bit more of a comment. Personally, I didn't know about it, to be totally
I don't
honest.
think a lot of people did, I guess
But
there
when
was,
we found out during the budget time, Scott sat in front of us and he said, it's not just replacing the fire hydrants, it is the issue. There's not a valve to shut off the water, so
right, and
when
I
he
knew
does
that
that,
was,
it's gonna shut down Thundera unless they schedule this, what they call like a hot tap. And those guys don't do it in the winter, they don't do different times, so we learned a lot, but it is on the schedule to be done next year from what I got
Correct,
out
and
of
we're also looking into replacing the valves that are
Right.
not working properly.
okay,
So that should help too.
And you brought that up too, I guess back in the day, they had the option to get the valves, not get the valves. Dan's shaking his head here, and they chose not to because it was so much more expensive to get the valves. So that was why there's.
But
some
they'd like to have
additional-
valves on the shelf. To actually
would
be
make
able to go,
sense.
oh geez, it's broke, we'll go fix it. So that's our goal.
So we're still spring on that then though,
Yes.
is what you're telling me?
That's what he said, that those guys will not do it this time of the year or in the
I guess my
winter.
next question is, anybody whose insurance is gonna be going up for that time being, because that is not in place, so we're just supposed to absorb those costs because it wasn't fixed?
Didn't you have something with like the other locations, the other hydrants that were?
Well, there are some hydrants, but I don't know what the insurance company's saying. There's 2 hydrants on the Murray property on 28, 1 hydrant at Smith Marina, and 1 on Pine Street
For the
behind
woods,
your
right, yeah.
house. So I don't know what the insurance companies are saying. To me, that looks like
I
a
guess,
closer.
you know, if when it arises, we can bring it back to you or whatever, but,
Okay.
you know, I just don't think that we should have to have our insurance premiums go up because, you know, they're saying that not having that hydrant there is, you know, unacceptable of them.
Okay.
Have you, just a question, have you, checked with your homeowner's insurance to see?
I have not yet, because I'm not gonna ask, because then they're gonna, you know.
Right.
Right.
No,
You're not
no,
gonna make that,
I
right?
am-
Open
I'm
that
not gonna
can of
ask
worms.
I
them.
understand that. I had called mine just to get a little information if I could. And I did ask how far within, I guess, the home insurance policy would it be acceptable for a fire hydrant to be? As far as like how far does it weigh, how far away does
I
it have to
understand what
be
you're saying.
before it affects my insurance? And they told me that per the National Insurance Association, I think it was, if there's a fire hydrant within 1,000 feet of any direction of your house, you still fall within what they call a good point system.
Okay.
So if you're within 1,000 feet, it shouldn't affect any house or business insurances. That's what they told me, but everyone uses different insurance companies, so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Robin?
Robin Hill, Living ADK. I just wanted to share some information. Back in probably midsummer, there was a lot of talk about Alger Island. And I know that Mr. Hale reached out to Senator Walczak and Assemblyman Smullen for assistance in reaching out to the DEC about how important it was to keep Alger Island viable and maintained. So I just wanted to share a letter. We couldn't put the letter in the paper because it was a PDF of a signed document. So I figured I would just read it tonight. It's short. This was dated back in August, and it was from Sean Mahar, Interim Commissioner of the DEC, to Assemblyman Smullen and Senator Walczak. And thank you for your letter regarding Alger Island Campground in Herkimer County. DEC is currently assessing the condition of the lean-tos, docks, and breakwalls on the island to determine how sites can be configured to safely accommodate campers while complying with the requirements of the Adirondack Park State Land Master Plan. We anticipate camping will continue to be available on Alger Island for the foreseeable future. Thank you for sharing your support for continued public access to Alger Island. If you have any questions, please contact Regional Director Randall Young or myself. So I did want to let you know that.
Thank you. That's good news. Yes.
I just wanted to quickly ask everybody, sorry, Jamie Torme, just wanted to chat about Chief Bob Dibble passing away on September 17th, 24, after a courageous battle with cancer for 6 months. I'm requesting kind of like a moment of silence in his recognition. He served with the New York State Police from June 29th, 1970 until retiring as a BCI investigator on August 2nd, 1990. April 13th of 92, Chief Dibble was appointed Chief of Police for the town of Webb, where he served until his retirement of July 3rd, 2008. His services are this weekend. I'd also request that we fly our flags at half-staff out here. But just a moment of silence for him and all he did for our town.
Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you, Jamie.
Yeah, thanks, Jamie.
Yes.
Julie Meeks, Inlet, but Town of Webb community member. During the last board meeting, it was announced that you guys were gonna go into executive session to discuss the PBA contract, among other topics. And Bonnie, you made the following statements: we hope to come to an agreement soon, we're working on it, we heard you all and we are listening. But as of today, no offer was given to the PD based off the executive session that you guys had. You guys also said, the lack of police is a nationwide problem due to defund the police. We don't have 30 officers in reference to filling all the shifts. They, meaning the police, aren't getting any respect. Those were your last words. Yet here we are, 9+ months after their contract has expired, with no updated offer to the PD in months. Despite people asking you to consider, despite the fact you are down from 1 chief and 7 full-time officers to 1 sergeant and 4 full-time officers, despite the fact you have been told that multiple officers are looking elsewhere for employment, despite the fact you've had multiple incidents, some dangerous, some tragic, where no officer was on duty and the citizens of this community were forced to wait too long while the state police responded almost 45 minutes away. You recently lost 2 officers. They both left for jobs where they have higher pay, better benefits, and more opportunities for professional growth. You've been advertising since May to fill positions with no new applicants to speak of. From what I understand, another union in this town recently settled a contract 3 months before its expiration. And it was a high contract. Fantastic for those workers. Congratulations to them, they work hard. There was a proposal from them, an offer back from Town of Webb, a counteroffer, and the negotiations were done. All handled very quickly and efficiently. I also heard it was handled without attorneys. So I don't understand how negotiations with one union that is much larger than the PD can go so well, so quickly, so efficiently, but not the negotiations with a smaller union that I'm assuming has a less financial impact. Additionally, somehow the community can afford to hire a helicopter to assist with the installation of the triple chairlift. Again, that's great. McCauley is a wonderful addition to our community, but so is the police department. Have you asked yourself what it does to their morale, their sense of being appreciated and respected, when a reasonable, competitive, comparative salary is not being offered to them? According to their contract, an officer has been working for 5 or more years, makes $32.62 an hour in Town of Webb. In Inlet, they make $35.40. In Hamilton County, they make $34.92. $47 as a DEC officer and $50.14 as a state trooper. I don't have any right to comment on this, and I don't have any prior knowledge as the police department refuses to discuss specific contract amounts, but I wonder hypothetically if the PD was offered a similar contract that the CSEA was offered, if they would accept it, and this process could be over. You have residents complaining about the lack of coverage before 10 a.m., after 12 a.m., yet this does not feel like an urgent matter to the board. You had an officer get injured, very injured. He's been out for 2 months. He's not sure when he can come back. I can think of at least 3 other incidences in the past few months where officer safety was compromised. Obviously, the Town of Webb is very different than Utica PD, but there are absolutely situations up here that are dangerous, and at any moment with the world we live in, a dangerous moment could arise. What's going to happen when there's no one to answer this call? And from what I've heard, besides the executive session last meeting, the other board members have not been involved with the contract process with the PBA. On your website, there is a page that lists all the boards and committees. McCauley has a committee, publicity, DPW, zoning, justice, school liaison, but there's no committee for the PD. As you stated, they are going into an impasse, which means they now will have to go through 3 mediation sessions, which could drag out from anywhere from 2 months to 2 years. Then it will have to go to arbitration, which can cost anywhere from $8,000 to $12,000, which will have to be split from the PD and the Town of Webb. How many officers are we going to lose in that time period? How much money are we going to spend on attorney fees and arbitration fees? How many urgent matters can our community face before we don't have enough officers for as much coverage as we need? One last statement, and then I have some questions. In a phone discussion with your attorney, Brian Goldberger, he said, quote, to Rocco DiPerno, the attorney for the PBA, if these guys do not like it, they can leave. I wonder if he would feel the same way if he was living in this area. I wonder if he would feel the same way if it was his family member waiting alone for 45 minutes after a tragedy on the phone with 911 waiting for state police to respond. So here are my questions, which I doubt will be
I have
answered.
one for you.
Sure.
Where did you get information that about two attorneys talking? Where would you find that information out?
The police department.
Oh,
They'll
they
have
told
it
you that?
Yes.
They told you that our attorney told their attorney that?
Yes.
Oh, awesome, thank you,
And they know that I was gonna bring it tonight.
thank you.
You're welcome. So why, here's my questions. Why did you go into executive session and then no offer was presented to the PBA after the last executive session?
I asked that last night at our Monday meeting, just because we
Was there an
did
answer?
have something that we thought we were comfortable with putting forward, and, you know, the response was that lawyer advised our supervisor not to put it in front of them. I don't know what that means, but I was in the same spot with that, and
Correct.
I wish.
Our lawyer advised us not to go ahead with that, proposal.
I don't know why, I don't think I agree with it,
Okay.
just to answer your question.
Sure, thank you. Why is there no town board committee for the PD? Why is it one person?
It's a commissioner.
Okay, well, if all the other committees are worthy of a couple of people listening in and giving their advice and input, then why is no one else in on these discussions?
It's normally a commissioner of police.
Okay. So why did you hire an attorney for your negotiations with the PD and not the CSEA?
To learn negotiations.
Okay.
But also.
Okay, so CSEA didn't ask for the moon, they didn't ask to break our community in another 10 years, where the PBA has asked for an awful lot. So if we wanna be in the same predicament as some of the other towns down below, where they're filing for chapter 11, because they've given everything in the last 10 years, then I guess that's where we would be. We have 77 employees, not 7.
You just gave a super generous contract to the CSEA.
How do you know?
Because.
Hasn't been signed.
Okay, well, you're going to. If the rumors are correct, and if I'm wrong, then
Rumors
tell
are,
me that I'm wrong.
rumors are great.
10%, 8%, and 6% over the next 3 years, is that not correct?
That's correct.
Okay, that's a great contract.
And your police officers were offered more. Okay?
Yeah, I don't believe that.
Well, you don't have to believe it.
I don't.
You don't have to.
So, all right, your lawyer for the negotiations, Brian Goldberger, is he the same attorney who was involved with the Herkimer Police Department negotiations that took 3 years to settle?
I wouldn't know that information.
He was.
Thank you.
So, I worked hard to present facts here tonight, and I'm wondering if anything I said was incorrect.
Anything incorrect? I don't know.
As far as the lawyer aspect goes for the PBA negotiations, I look back for the past 3 CBA agreements, each one had a lawyer on it. It was the supervisor of the town and a lawyer, or a labor's relations. But each one had an attorney of sort, labor relations consultant. So yes, okay, some may not have a lawyer, some do, but the past 3 PBA negotiations had lawyers in them.
Well, from what I understand, they sat down in January and asked Bonnie if they could have an informal, no attorneys present. The answer was yes. She went to a conference where Brian Goldberger was a speaker or a presenter or something along those lines. He was there. She came home having hired him. Is that correct?
Mike and I went to PBA negotiations together
Okay.
and decided that none of us should be doing that alone. So
So-
we hired an attorney. We have every right to hire an attorney.
Okay, but why, if you're gonna hire an attorney for the PBA, why not for the other unions then?
Didn't need to. They weren't asking for the moon.
This doesn't seem urgent to you.
It's very urgent to us.
It is?
Yes, it is.
You have.
What motivation do you have here? You're from Inlet. Do you feel unsafe? Are you feeling unsafe right now? I'm sorry.
No, you have been
I know.
trying
Are
to
you a
divide
taxpayer
Inlet and
in the
Town of
town of
Webb for a
Webb?
long time. No, I am not. I am a community member. Our children from Racket Lake to Woodgate all attend the same school. I grew up here, I went to high school here, I run a business in Inlet. I have family members that live in town of Webb. I have friends that live in town of Webb. I spend time in town of Webb. So I spend my money in town of Webb. So I have a right to come to you if I'm not comfortable with the lack of police coverage.
Thank you. You're right, you do.
I would like to speak for a second, if I may. Because Danny River brought this up at the last meeting about feeling unsafe in our community, and do we have enough police officers, whatever. So I look back at some of the situations with our police officers. We do have quite a few police officers hired for this town. Most of them came from another area, Rome and whatnot. Why did they come here? I don't know. I'm only assuming that it was better. Because you usually leave one place and come to another because you make better for your own life, maybe more money. I don't know why, it doesn't matter. But they came from other places, other than one, Trevor. Next thing I would like to bring up is we do have officers on duty. One of them, and I'm just gonna say this because I'll probably get beat up on Facebook, but you need to know these things. One of them from January to 11/1/16, which was October, which in their scheduling should be 154 days of work. Out of those days of work, 3 of them were on vacation, 8 of them were days, sick days, 23 were maternity leave, and 31 to date were out for injury. So that person we don't have. We're paying him, we don't have him. Same thing happened with our police chief. He was asked from Inlet, because their chief retired, he was asked, Inlet asked Town of Webb, can we use your chief for temporary? Yep, absolutely, that would be great, no problem. As long as our chief agreed with that. He did. He goes up there on a call by himself. He could have called for backup, could have called, whatever. He went up there and got injured. He was out on workers' comp. Town of Webb's paying for that. Just letting you know a couple things that we have to deal with when an officer goes out, and I'm not saying that these are bad people. If that's what happened to them, that's what happens, I get it. They get vacation, they get sick time, if they get hurt, they go out. That's fine, I'm not saying they're bad people, but that's what we have to deal with. We can't just clip our fingers and have an officer come here and work. I don't know how else to explain that situation.
Can I say some more off of that? You got more there?
Sure, I got a lot, but.
Well, my whole thing is that we had some questions and some concerns with how things were run in the police department in recent years, or maybe the facts that you're saying have sprung up some issues and some concerns on this and that, but at the end of the day, this PBA contract is for moving forward, let alone not so much in the past, and it's for future officers, maybe a future chief. Why are we holding it against maybe potential officers that aren't even here yet, when we're trying to get our contracts and our numbers up to par with other departments, so we can then have a police department that is functioning, people happy to be here, maybe people applying here, so we can have that fulfilled, so obviously our people feel safe. That's my only question. That I feel like we're punishing the negotiations. We came to an agreement. I felt like we all left that in a really good state.
Well, that was just an agreement with us. That was just,
Yeah.
and all this, when you
put on the
came in
table,
last
PBA,
week and
though.
said that,
Yeah.
that we were not hiring and all this stuff, this is a negotiation. I don't know if you know, I have actually an explanation of what a negotiation is. It's very important.
Negotiation is, thanks.
Sometimes people walk away with what they want and sometimes they don't. And I just don't know
You
what.
have 2 separate issues going on right now. You don't have enough officers, so you're hiring at the same time as you're trying to negotiate a contract. If you think these guys don't talk, if you think there's not rumors, you're not gonna attract anyone with the way you're treating the police department right now.
How do you know how we're treating the police? You don't even know what was offered.
I have had lots of conversation, and I'll tell you, they don't feel appreciated. They don't feel respected. They don't feel liked by you guys.
I'm really sorry about that because I've only given, I was born up to respect people. I've always respected all police officers. I've had a lot of conversations with our police officers. I don't get that from them, but if that's what you're getting, I don't know what happens in the outside world, but really honestly, there's been a lot of discussion with police officers and a lot of things going on, and I've sat on the PBA negotiations for quite a few years prior, a long time ago, and we treated them quite well. We came back with a couple different times, they're like, heck yeah. That's what negotiations are. You come to an agreement sooner or later. I don't know. There's a lot of great things that our officers get.
It never made it there though, that was my point, you know?
Yes,
Just kinda on the same topic, I agree with Julie in that when you're putting out for lateral transfers, police talk to each other, they do their investigating, no pun intended. But there's also no leadership in place, so you're lacking a contract for working and a police chief, and you're trying to attract lateral transfers. I don't see that happening at all. And is there a reason that you haven't hired from within provisionally? Is there a reason why we are advertising for a police chief all over God's creation, but for other positions only locally? I don't understand the reasoning for the.
you mean other positions only locally?
Like the Macaulay manager, et cetera, were advertised locally. The police chief position is in Syracuse, Albany.
Yeah, the police chief, that's normal for that kind of a department to put it out in a bigger world. We did the same with the ski manager.
Was
area
there not a
manager.
ski manager hired last fall?
Pardon me?
There wasn't a ski manager
No.
hired last fall?
Office manager.
And also, the current, Mike, just PC wise, that's New York State family leave, not maternity leave. I got called out on that recently.
Okay.
Also, so since the chief vacancy, there's been Riolo, officer in charge, who was injured on duty. That's why he's been out, because he was alone.
No, he was not. He was not alone.
Inlet came
After
to assist
fact.
him.
After the
That's-
fact.
Yep, but he was not alone. I don't care
There
where
was
the
no
cop
other
came
town
from,
Webb
he wasn't alone.
officer.
So, and either way, he was injured on duty.
Correct. Does officers go to training to learn how protection? Do they carry a gun? Do they have a vest? I mean, I don't
I
know.
don't understand the hostility from you right now. That
Because
was a
it
lead
kind
into
of is
something. I am
hostile.
wondering, as a taxpayer, if the officers in charge, first Riolo, now Torme, have been compensated by the town for being an officer in charge. And Trevor is also an SRO on top of being an officer in charge. Are we compensating them, or, I'm just curious, and I would like to know why there has been no hiring from within when there are competent people in our department.
There has been no hiring for that position, period, so how do you know it's not within? These are the
I'm
things,
just wondering
when
why there
Julie
hasn't
came at the one
been-
meeting, she said you didn't hire within, but we didn't even get to that point yet.
I
How
was
do
at-
we
Well,
know
it's
that
been
he's not getting?
advertised since August.
But
And
how do you know
apparently
that that
until
isn't
November
happening
1st.
though? That's what gets me, is you have an answer already and there's not even an answer there. Sorry, but
I'm
Yes,
not
Neil.
sure what
everybody
you're
gets
saying,
a
but the
fair
whole board-
shake at it.
There seems like that there's a lot of hostility, and there's also an audit that costs the town $187,000 that outlines how the department should be structured, the hiring process, where the chief should be in the whole ball of wax, and supervisors are apparently not referencing it, so that was money well spent.
How do we benchmark between other towns in the Adirondacks? I'm assuming we're not the only smaller, population-sized town in the Adirondacks that's dealing with this problem. So are we just not closer to a state unit that can help us? I mean, have we talked to other towns like Tupper or Saranac and see how they deal with this or anything? Or I don't know if that's a valid question or not, but I'm assuming if we're suffering with this issue, there must be other towns like North Creek and smaller areas as well that deal with this problem too.
Yes, they do rely on their state police a lot, and we do as well,
Yeah,
but they're 40 minutes out
yeah,
in either direction.
yeah.
Yes,
I would like to address something concerning the police in general, overall safety of our community. Mike mentioned at last meeting, I said that I'm the third generation of my family. My children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren who live here, very concerned about safety. And I said that last meeting. I've got something to add. As most of you know, I'm very involved in EMS, have been for many, many years, paramedic for many, many years, and as a state certified instructor coordinator. Like I said, I've trained hundreds of EMTs at all levels. The first thing we tell them is the scene safe? And if it isn't, we don't go there. That's our training. If the scene isn't safe, if we don't have law there, we can't go there. But this incident that happened earlier in the summer, the officer had to tase the person that was assaulting numerous people. He tased them. The policy is, once they're tased, call EMS for evaluation. See if they're okay after being tased. So he was on the scene. He asked for state police backup. They were in the town of Floyd. Took them 43 minutes to get here because we get printouts of things like that. And so our ambulance crew went there, one who was a retired state trooper. That was the backup they had. And it's bad, but what's the most important to everyone in this room? Health and safety, them and their families. That's the most important thing. So, you know, I'm not privy to negotiations or anything like that, but it's not something, it's something that's got to be settled, okay? So that's, I just wanted to point out, you know, you call for an ambulance and it's an assault or something like that, our people are trained not to go if the scene isn't safe. So I just wanted to point that out.
I think that's one of the reasons why we had that, the chief had to live in town because they were the backup, basically. I mean, there's a lot of things, and I'm sorry sometimes the way it sounds like I'm firing back. Really, honestly, I love this community. I'm not going anywhere, and I do have a ungodly respect for our police officers and want them here. I don't know how else to explain it, that it's, I guess until you're sitting up here and dealing with the issues, there is some complications, and it's, I don't know what else to say.
I'm confident we'll get through this.
We usually do, we have for, every 3 years, the negotiation comes up.
Are we competitive with other police departments?
I've been told yes, but
Okay.
Julie says no, so.
Yeah. I don't know. We're competitive. We should fund what we can fund. We're sitting on around $6 million unexpended. You said, talk about state police. I was at a function where the state police troop commander was there. Major, I don't remember his last name. And I asked him if we could have more troopers up here. He said, I don't have. He said 20% of the state police force is retired because they were old enough to retire. And he said, we have a hell of a time recruiting. He said, we used to get 15,000 people take the test. He said, now
We've heard the same thing,
very
there's nobody going through the academies
same problem,
anymore.
right, but we had good officers here, very good officers. And they knew the area, everybody liked them unless they arrested somebody for something, but, and I hate to see them gone. But, you know, 2 of them have left, the chief has left, one's out on leave, and one of them told me the other day that he's applied somewhere else. So what are we left with? You know, we've got to step up. Anybody sees their taxes and asks about their taxes, well, we put so much for police. Nobody's going to question it when you guys formed the ambulance district for us. There was a separate tax, like fire district, water district, sewer district, ambulance district, which we needed to continue to fund the ambulance. And so I asked the tax collector, I said, how many people have come in to pay their taxes that complained about the ambulance district tax? She said, I think I had 3 people ask about it, and as soon as I explained it, there was no problem. No problem whatsoever. And like I said, health and safety are most important to, I think, everyone in this room and their families, so.
You know, the officer that I think you're talking about, that you has applied somewhere else, He walked right up to me and he said, Mike, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not leaving because of pay. I'm not leaving for any reasons other than I have family in another area and I'm gonna be close to them. Flat out, what he told me. Like, hey, you gotta do what's good for you. I can't, I don't know what else to.
It all comes down to affordable housing, which we need.
Freaking great.
But the thing of it is his wife was not coming here. He flat out, his wife had a job over there.
They've had families that came here before everything went crazy.
Right.
You go to the grocery store, probably 60% of the staff is from Georgia, Montenegro, Kosovo.
There.
3 out of 23, 60%, you're right on the money.
Steve Hoffel.
3 out of 23, you're right on the money, 60%.
I want everybody to think of a concept here for a second. If I took a picture of that map with my phone and started telling everybody to send it through this room, how long do you think it would take that everybody had that picture? Not too long. Where I'm going with this was a transfer station. I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus. But the tenants now are taking a picture of the stickers that you spent all that money on, and they're accepting that as an acceptable thing for a trash out. So how long do you think it's going to be before every other town has pictures?
Have you guys heard they're doing that yet?
I heard that.
And again, I'm not throwing nobody under the bus, but I was up there the other day.
Well, you just did, thank you.
Again,
I'll take care of that in the morning, Steve, thank you.
The sheriff up there is pretty.
I know, we got a sheriff up there that,
I think Mike was probably on the board when we considered charging for garbage pickup. And the board at that time decided, you know, garbage is gonna be produced. Did we want it strewn all over town in the woods, left out along the sides of the road and everything? We said, no, they can take it to the transfer station, they don't have to pay. I don't care if you gotta pay $1. People will save that dollar by sticking it up. I live on Onondaga Road. They got some Airbnbs up there out 28 and Onondaga Road. I'm sure most of you have driven by. They stack up all the garbage, the crows, the bears, everybody else gets in it and it's strewn all over. One of the residents up there picks it up, but you know, it's not the fault of the DPW. I think you should go back to the way it was. I understand
Yes.
there's people coming in for it. Okay.
no, sorry, I thought you were done. I didn't mean to cut
That's
you
all
off.
right, buddy.
I really didn't mean
I've
to.
said my piece, I tend to ramble sometimes.
I just cut Dan off. Yeah, Vicky, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, listen, I'm with you because I'm the one that cleans all that garbage up. Cause it ends up all over my yard.
Yep.
Thank you. Yes, Ron?
I had an experience at the transfer station about a month ago. I went with a sticker that was on the windshield of my car. I took it off and put it on a paddle so that I could loan it around the short-term rental that I live in when there were weekend visitors. And I took the paddle up myself to see how it worked.
Shame on you.
Excuse me?
Shame on you.
Well, I was...
You're as bad as the guy taking the picture and using it on his phone.
No.
Yeah.
I was told to do it that way.
Oh, were you?
Yes, and I
By
didn't get a
her or
sticker
I?
from my landlord. I got it from my next door neighbor, who happens to be part of law enforcement. And I had it on my windshield.
Everybody's going to wow.
Everybody's gonna throw under the bus right now.
I went up there with a paddle and I was told, just take a picture of it and show us on your camera. And anybody who's renting in the house, don't give them the paddle, tell them to take a picture of it, and they go up there with their phone and show it to them, and then they can leave the trash off on Sunday mornings.
Thank you. Do you have a motion to pay the audited claims?
Thank you for taking your trash to the
I'm not done yet, Ronnie. I'm not done yet.
Okay, Mike's not done yet.
I just have one more quick thing that I'd like to address. I thought maybe it would get brought up tonight. I know probably this board's probably gonna be mad at me, but I would like to just say, because I totally had a lot of respect in the beginning for the Munger family when they asked us to do a martial arts program. We all thought it was a great idea. We still think it's a great idea. But I'd like to share a little bit of history of how it got to where it is. It's very unfortunate. But when it was asked of this board to, if we could have a martial arts program, we said, absolutely, that would be great. It was presented to us that we'd probably have about 20 students and that didn't want to get paid. Fine. Let's get it started. This would be a town-run program. We would, in the department, the rec department, there wasn't any budgeting, nothing for martial arts, but we brought it on. What do you need? How can we do this? In all of this, as everybody remembers, the pavilion took a major upgrade. It got a floor, it got lights, it got new doors, all kinds of things happened over there. So it got to be used a lot, and it got asked to be used a lot. School wanted it, CA wanted it, weddings wanted to be there, on and on and on. At the time, Jackie was our rec director, I believe, but she left. We didn't have a rec director, and that building was a pain in the butt. Everybody had a key, everybody went in when they wanted to get in. It was very difficult to control. In that same time, we were trying to hire a rec director. We did. And one of the major things that we asked this person, could you please schedule that building? And Park Ave, and all these other buildings that everybody wants to use, because it was very difficult. Hannah, which has been doing a wonderful job, made a schedule. And we put martial arts in there, I believe, four nights a week. And the same time, now we had to go to a budget, which is only once a year, we're doing that now. At this point, budget was put down for that, remember, was asked probably around 20 students, get evolved into a wonderful thing. It's got like 100 people. 75 are all the time, something like that. So, anyways, now the new budget has come up, and of course, there's been offers of, we bought mats for the, over there, all the belts. Taxpayers did all this. We thought that it was very important to run this program because it was a great thing, and people loved it. People love it. It's a shame that it got to the point that it is. Jim decided to retire or resign, whatever it may be. I wish he didn't. I think the kids and the families that are involved in that totally enjoy it. It's a shame that it happened, but I just wanted to kind of give a little bit of background on some of what went on there. This board did never, ever did not say that we didn't want to have that program work. And I was on the committee with the rec, so my name got beat up, and all I was doing was my job. I'm on that committee to deal with that, and it just happened, so. Hopefully that sheds a little light on that. I feel bad that it's not happening at this point. I hope that we can continue, but if there's any questions on that, I'd be glad to try to answer, but I just thought that I needed to say that.
That was the question I was gonna ask, what's going on with that Friday?
Well,
You would explain it.
I don't know.
And it's quality of life issue for people in the community.
It's a shame.
Thank you. So I have a motion to pay the audit of claims.
I'll make a motion.
Mike, second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Everybody
seconded.
Ben and Kyle.
One more thing. I'd like to thank the board for all their efforts. I know what you go through. Like I said, 20 years I sat up there. And I know some of the abuse you take and a lot of stories that go around and so on. So thank you for serving.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you for coming.